Blessings, whomever you may be. I don't see a name just yet. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Sorry for the lateness, guys. I didn't mean to do that. Thank you for joining in. I know I'm late. I'm extremely late. But it was a very full day for me. So I appreciate you guys chiming in right away. Oh, I jumped. I appreciate you guys. Hi, Melissa. That's the first name I saw. It says I have like 9 people, but I only see one name. Hey, Sissy. Wow. This is what happens when I start late. Love you and I miss you much. Sorry that I'm so late, guys. It was a pretty full day. Um, Appointments and hearings, and then we had to do some running around. Hey, Tori. Remember, guys, if you want uh, your comments or your questions to be seen by everybody, you're going to need to be on the Loving the Me IC page. Okay? Um, my son, my bestie's husband, his birthday was today, and we were celebrating him. And then my little baby, Zakaya, plays basketball, and they had a championship game tonight that didn't start until 8 for them little kids. So we're just getting in from that, but their team won. They are now the undefeated champions. And so here I am, yet apologizing for being late. So we're not going to be on here a long time. I hope not. Um, but we always go according to the conversation. Last week we were having a wonderful conversation. We were talking about the fact of us trying to live in our present, but the people who refuse to get out of our past won't let us go. And so we were having a very nice conversation about that. I was so glad for all of the interaction. Again, if you ever want to come on as a guest, even if you didn't know before the show, if you ever want to come on as a guest while we're talking, just let me know, and we can try to invite you in as we're going. All right. But again, remember, if you want your question or your comments to be seen by everyone, you're going to need to be on the Loving the Me IC page. Hey, Kendra. Oh, y'all is doing it tonight. I need to be late night, huh? Mm-hmm. Oh, Lord God. Do it at 9 o'clock. I don't see some of y'all. Y'all scaring me. I love you guys, though. So, because we're late, we're not going to belabor the time. On next week, we do have Pastor Ashley Gill, who's going to be coming on with us. And who knows what we're going to talk about with the Hey, baby boy. We're going to have Pastor Ashley Gill with us on next week. And I'm excited about what that conversation is going to be like. Again, like I said, last week we were talking about the fact that I'm trying to live in my present, but people won't get out of my past. And so we were talking about trying to love on ourselves and be the best us that we can be today. And the reason why we can't enjoy being in our today to the fullest extent is because those around us, even those who say they love us, are still in our past. They live off of what we did before, and they're not acknowledging that there's another you on deck right now. You're moving and you're progressing, and you, blessings, Elder, and you feel like you're thriving, and you just, you going on, and you've made a conscious decision that you're going to live for Christ, and you made a conscious decision that you're not going to allow anything to hold you back. And just when you think that you're all right with being yourself, somebody go digging in your past. Somebody come jump up. I'm telling you, it's like being in that cemetery, like I said last week, that has that open grave site. You know something's going in it, but the dirt hasn't been thrown over it yet. And so here we are with ourselves, and we are trying to mend broken fences, and we're trying to heal the broken pieces, and we're trying to accept what is going on with us and still do that with a smile. We're trying to be more like Christ, as we should be. We're trying to walk as Christ would have us to walk, which means that we forgive people even when it's hard. We forgive people for what they've done. But there are some people who just refuse to either forgive you or refuse to accept the fact that that's not you anymore. You are, I teach, I live, I preach. Never defend a lie. Always outlive it. The more you try to defend what's not true, the more guilty you look. So again, never try to defend it. Just outlive it. People will see for themselves. There are people that come around me even now because of what's been said. Not so much that they care about me, not so much that they love me, not much that they want to see what's best for me. They're just coming to see if what's been said is true. And then when they get here and they find out that it's not what it was and it's not what it seemed, they find themselves coming back for more. And that's what you have to do. You have to continue to live the way God has for you to live. You have to continue to do the things that you desire to do. Don't let somebody steal your love. Don't let somebody steal your passion for anything. Don't let nobody. Can y'all close that door? Close the door. Close the door. Don't let anybody steal your passion from you. Don't let them make you wonder if you're going in the right direction. Don't let them make you wonder about your beauty. They say beauty is skin deep, but I believe that beauty is just within. And because of things that have happened to us, it is kind of hard for us to shine as bright as we normally would if the right things had happened according to us. Many of us are still living out what others said we would be. And therefore, you're not happy because you're not doing what you want to do. You're doing what others have told you is going to be the best thing for you, or the way that they saw you, or the way they said as they spoke that God told them that you would be. And so now you find yourself not knowing who you are, but only knowing who they are. And then you find yourself in a situation when you're alone, having to reintroduce yourself to yourself. The problem is you don't know how to introduce yourself because you lost yourself in being what everybody else said you should be. And so that's what we were talking about on last week. And the conversation was getting pretty good. And people don't realize until that bulb goes off that, hey, maybe I really didn't want to do this. Like when I think about what I used to say I wanted to do, and I look at what I'm doing now, I find that what I wanted to do is still over here waiting to be attempted. And what I was told I should do is thriving, but only in somebody else's eyes. And it's a hard place to be when you find that out. Sometimes you get to, all right, they talk about, let's talk about age. I'm about 60 years old, and surely I didn't think that I would still be where I am right now. My voice was supposed to work for me. It was supposed to be the thing that took me through life. It was going to be the way that I was going to be able to set my family up. And then things happen. And so when those things happened, I'm not going to go into full detail about that because my book will be coming out soon. And then things started to happen. And as those things began to happen, it started to make me feel less than. It started to make me feel unloved, unappreciated. It started to make me feel ugly. It started to make me feel depressed. It started to make me feel not just alone, but lonely. And in being in that place, becoming suicidal, and then trying to carry that thing out. I've been there. I've done that. I understand. I want you to know that I can match you where you are with those kinds of things. But at the same time, when do you decide that that's what happened, but that's not who I am? That's what happened, but that's not who I am. And I had to come to that first before I can get anybody else to believe it. People will do what you allow them to do, even though they may know better, because you're allowing them to do certain things. This is what happens. And so you find yourself being suppressed while what they want is being uplifted. And we can't, continue to go through life like that. You have to eventually say, get up out my path. Stop looking for me in the same places. Better yet, I'll say to you, stop showing up when they get there. If you keep going back to where they take you, then you're causing yourself not to go forward. You have a choice in how you answer what you're being called. And just because they want to stay in your past doesn't mean you have to go back and revisit it. Continue to move in your present. Continue to move in your now, because your future is waiting for you to catch up. It's been there. God already predestined and preordained it. It's been there. Your future, your destiny, your promise. It's already been there waiting for you. It is up to us to decide how quickly we get there. It is up to us to decide how quickly. What do I mean by that? How long are you going to allow somebody to hold that over you? I've learned in these days that nobody can beat me talking about me but me. There are many people that have versions of me, but that's their version. That's not me. Now, if you want to know about me, you can ask me. There's a way that you can find out what you want to know by doing it the right way. But people would rather believe a lie than the truth. So it is not your job to defend what is being spoken, if in fact it's not true. But if it's not true, you keep it moving. If it's true, claim it, own it, acknowledge it, confront it, deal with it, and then let it be. Don't allow somebody to keep you down. God forgives you and allows you another opportunity. Why are you still trying to make it up to the same individual? How many times are you going to allow them to make you repeat the cycle? Learn how to tell them to get up out my past. Move away from the gravesite. Move away from, you're too close to the gravesite. Somebody can push you in. You're too close to the gravesite. Back up. Back up. Let them throw dirt on somebody else other than you. Back up from the gravesite. How do I allow myself to be happy with myself? Very easy. Stop accepting everything that's spoken over you or into your ear gates. You have a choice. God gave us that. You have a choice. Once somebody speaks a thing, you have an option to either live it out or leave it alone. And it sounds easy. I know that it's not, but it's possible. That's what I want you to understand. That when you come to that revelation of yourself, the sooner, the better. How do I learn how to love the me that I see unapologetically? I learned how to do that by admitting to myself who I am. I get that by acknowledging to myself who I really am. God created me a certain way. And it is up to me how I allow myself to live that out. Are there going to be obstacles? Yes. Are there going to be times when you want to walk away? Yes. Are there going to be times when you're going to want to say to God, like, this really can't be like this. This really can't be what it is for me. It's yeah, those times happen. And I want you to, in those times, start to talk to yourself. The Bible lets us know that David at some time or another had to encourage himself. Stop always looking for somebody else to validate you. Stop always looking for somebody else to tell you when you're doing good or bad. Sometimes just be satisfied with knowing it yourself. Get to the place, if you can, if you will allow yourself to, where you're satisfied with looking at who you see in the mirror. You have to get to a place where when you look in the mirror, if ugly is what you see, now you know what? You're looking right ugly right now because you know you shouldn't have done that. Or you know you shouldn't have let that person take you out of character. Or you know you wasn't supposed to go to that place. So why are you upset with yourself because of what's going on? You have to be willing to look at yourself, see yourself, confront yourself so you could be yourself. Yeah, in that order. In that order. Because everything everybody's saying about you ain't wrong. You're not perfect. There's not a perfect being alive. All of us have sins. All of us have closet material that we just don't want anybody to recognize. And you know why? Because if they found out what was in our closet, they would no longer believe everything that I'm saying. All I'm saying to you is, as long as you're alive, you need help. Anything perfect is already with the Father, because you would have no need for him. If everything in your life was every way you wanted it to be, there would be no need for God. If you never have pain, you never know what healing is. If you never have sorrow, you never know what joy is. And I want everybody to understand what I didn't understand when I got saved at 9 years old, that to be with Christ is to suffer, is to go through. With everything that he went through for us, how do we think that we're going to live this life and never go through anything? As we read time and time again, as they preach to us time and time again of how he was falsely accused and how he was talked about and how they just crucified him. They spit on him, y'all. Nails in his hand for you, for your stuff, for me, for my stuff. And yet we feel like we're not supposed to go through anything. And anytime something happens to us, we just die. Instead of us running to Christ, we run away from him. We get further in sin and then can't understand why we must struggle so hard to come back. All right. So when you come back, because nobody knows your struggle better than you, how dare you allow somebody to stay in your past? Don't do it. I know, I'm telling you, I know it sounds easy, but it is something you must do if you're going to ever learn how to be happy with yourself. Your past is that, your present is now, and your future is yet to come. So you have a choice. You can be like Lot's wife and stay in your past and become a memorial to your own stuff. Or you can be like Jacob as he wrestled and came out with a limp and said, I'm limping, but I'm going. Huh? We have victory in Jesus. All right. I'm not going to try to go church on you. I'm just saying that I want you to understand that you don't have to apologize for being you. I don't care how messed up you feel you are. I don't care. I really don't. When I say that, I'm not saying that I don't care about you. I'm saying no matter, he created you. So therefore he knew you. He knew this part of you was going to show up. And the fact that he still created you, knowing that, says a whole lot. And yes, you may have been in abusive homes or abusive environments, abusive relationship, whether it be with your mate, whether it be from your family. I want you to know that that is not where you have to stay. Yes, they did it too. Yes, you were abused emotionally, verbally, physically, spiritually. You were abused. You were violated. You were mishandled. You were abandoned. You were just treated horribly. But everything that I just said had an ED on it, which means that it happened already. And so now that it happened, and now that you had an opportunity to deal with that, and why am I saying you had the opportunity? Because as long as you're alive, you have an opportunity to confront what's been done. Are you always ready exactly when it happens? No. For whatever the reason, however long it took for you to be able to be bold enough to speak about it, now is your time for healing. And how do you heal? By dealing with the feelings that you never dealt with when it happened, which means the pain and the anguish and the rage, all of that. You have a right to feel that, to confront that, but then you have to move. You can't stay there. You cannot stay there. You have to get beyond what was so that you can be at what is. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I want you to understand that God made you just the way he wanted you to be. That's why he says you're fearfully and wonderfully made. There's also Jeremiah 29:11 about him knowing the plans that he has for you. To reign with him is to suffer. There's a cross that all of us have to bear. We all have our own cross. Pastor Alan Lawrence preached a message one time and said, don't drop your cross. Don't drop your cross. It's painful. It's frustrating. It's humiliating. It's embarrassing. It's hurtful. It just has you feeling sometimes like, I don't even want to be here no more. Let's just be real about it. But the fact of the matter is, he already walked you through that. He already walked you through that. He already walked you through that. If he could do it for you, why can you not further do it for yourself? Yes, if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth having. I found out that things that just come to you, we don't tend to grip or grab hold of them the way that we should. But when we work for something, when we have to struggle through something and fight for it, we tend to guard it. We tend to try to protect that thing with everything that's in us. This is what we need to learn how to do for us. Just look, I can't even say look at your neighbor. I got to do a church move. You just need to tell somebody to get up out your past. Get up out my past and tell yourself to back away from the gravesite. Back away from the gravesite. It's not your time. It's not your time. God has great things in plan for you. And I want you to love on yourself. That's the main thing that what this page is all about. Telling you over and over and over and over again to love yourself unapologetically. Wherever you are right now, learn how to be content with it, meaning don't try to be somebody else. Don't try to be what you're not. Be comfortable with being who you are. And that's great. And that's powerful. And that's lovely. All in its own right. You may not flourish as fast as the next, but you're going to get there. How do I know? Because we're all still here. As much pain as we've endured and abandonment and everything, we're still here to talk about it. And I don't know about you, but I'm finally at that point where I can talk about it and I don't cry. I can talk about it and I'm not ready to curl up in the corner anymore. I can talk about it and not want to go take pills after anymore. I got there, and I know that you can do it too. To the point where even if they want to stay in your past, you can leave them there to dwell in it while you live. You don't have to die. Just live. You can do that. They might not understand. You think they're coming back to apologize and love again, and they're just really coming back to make sure you're still alive because they know what they did. And I want you to understand that you can look at Judas and, like Jesus say, go and do what you have to do. Don't kill off every Judas in your circle. Judas, you need Judas, honey. Judas is going to catapult you. And you need to know where Judas is. You don't have to acknowledge it to them that I know that you're my Judas. You continue to be who you are. You got to ask God to sharpen your gift of discernment when it comes to Judas. Because the Bible tells us that we have to forgive 70 times 7. So even though, and especially those who be in relationships and, you know, your mate might do something and they say they're sorry and then they go and do it again and you be like, look, how many times you expect me to say, well, Bible says 70 times 7. It didn't give us specific instructions on when we didn't have to do it anymore. And so is it easy? No, because you get tired because you feel like people abuse the fact that they know that you have to forgive them. But then you have to trust that God's going to deal with them. You continue to grow. As you grow and flourish, you will find out that it's all right to be you. And then, once you realize that it's all right to be you, you can go back and revisit what you wanted to do. And just go back over certain things and look and see, oh, okay, well, I did do that. I didn't do it when I thought I was going to do it, but I did do it. I did get it done. Or I was able to start the process. I picked it up, you know. I'm no longer wondering if, but I'm doing it and I'm trying to figure out the end result because you finally introduced yourself to yourself. You can't ask somebody to love you and you don't know how to love yourself. Therefore, you'll take on anything and accept anything because you just want something. I don't want to be there. And I don't want you to be there. I want you to be so confident in who God made you to be that you're able to, without animosity, without strife, say to somebody, I don't have to take that. That's not where I'm going. You growing up and wanting friendship, there were many times that I went places that if it was left up to me, I just wouldn't have went. And I knew that it was going against what my mother taught me, but because I wanted to be a part of, and I'm sure many of us have found ourselves there at one time in our life or another. But when you do it so much to the point where you never do what it is that you wanted to do, then that means that you've allowed yourself to become second to everything and everybody. You never feel like you need to be the priority. You're just okay with everybody getting there before you. I consider the man, I think my bestie preached about it not long ago, the man at the pool. You know, how many times you gonna let somebody go in front of you? You're not reaching out. You're not trying to crawl. You just watching everybody go by saying, somebody help me, instead of trying to get there yourself. If you learn nothing else, I would that you would learn yourself. If you never seem to take away much of what I say, I would like for you to understand that God created you uniquely. And I don't care who else's situation might be similar to yours, it is not yours. Because we all have our own cross to bear. And because he made us uniquely, why would he give us the same thing? But we are to be there for the other and saying, I know you can get through, because guess what? When I was XYZ, God did this for me. I got through it. Did it hurt? Yes. There's a pressing, there's a crushing that comes with being who you are. There's a crushing process. There's a meshing process that must take place. Hey, T, that must take place. Oh, my son on here. That must take place. I want you to be bold enough to tell somebody to get up out your past. Be bold enough. You really don't have to be nasty when you say it. Now, when I told somebody, I'm not going to act like I was, oh, could you get up out my... No, that ain't what I did. But I did let them know that they needed to get up off me. Because eventually, if you don't, well, they say it all the time, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And it's really, if you don't learn how to stand up for yourself, you can't expect everybody else to do it. If you're not willing to love yourself, you can expect blessings, Pastor. If you're not willing to love yourself, you can't expect that somebody else is going to do what you're not willing to do to yourself. When you get to the point where you're comfortable with who you are, by acknowledging things that you've done, that were right and wrong, things that you said that were right and wrong, places that you went that were right and wrong, which means, what am I saying? Why I keep saying right and wrong? Because I want you to deal with all of you, not the part of you that's comfortable, not the part of you that's convenient for what's going on. But when you get to the place where you can really, truly love yourself, then you'll know when it is that somebody's giving it to you. But you can't expect somebody to love what you don't love. How are you going to let them know what you need if you're just accepting anything because you just like the fact that somebody's there or somebody's paying attention or something? You have to become visible. You ever been in a crowded room and feel like nobody see you? It's a real thing. It's a real place. Crowded room. Activities going on, and it still looks like nobody has acknowledged that you're there. You want to get to the place where it's no longer a comfortable place to be like that. That God did not create you to be silent. He actually created you to worship him. So you got to open your mouth. You got to have some movement. You got to do something. So I just wanted to come on for a little while tonight. I know I'm late, but consistency is everything, and we already missed 2 weeks for other things. And so I said, even if I had to come on late tonight, I was going to come on. I'm looking forward to my conversation with Pastor Ashley Gill next week. But here we are today. Somebody in your circle had a horrible day, and when they came to you and smiled, you didn't see it. We have to learn how not to become so common and familiar that we miss moments, we miss opportunities, we miss hurt, we miss the opportunity to listen. So we want to get to a point where I can look at me in the mirror and say, you're looking all right today. I remember the time when. What you can also do, I tell people, and it works. The war room was a good thing for me in that not many people did that. My niece to this moment still does that. But you can put your own motivational things around your walls, on your mirrors. If you're like my two of my daughters that just love the mirror, have a motivational comment up there, something that's going to help you start your day. in case nobody else said something. Oh my God. Jesus. Sorry, y'all. Too often we expect our loved ones to just be all right. Discernment, it really is. It really is. We get, as I said a few weeks ago, baby boy, I was like, everybody sees me smiling, everybody sees me moving around, everybody see me enjoying praise and worship, and they just don't excuse me, they just don't believe that I'm hurting. Excuse me. I usually have my cup. But somebody got me something. Thanks. They see you smiling and moving around, and they just feel like, oh, it must not be that bad. If only you knew. I did not know you was over there. If only you knew. And as my baby boy says, because he'll come around and for the most part he'll smile. He could be miserable. He could be very frustrated. Hey nephew, and because he has mastered how to look all right, most people don't dig deep enough. My bestie picks him up a lot, and people just they want you to spend the time for them, but they don't give the time for somebody else, if that makes sense. Um, yeah, it's one of the new diagnoses. I'll be all right. Um, there's like, okay, my bestie. I'm trying to think when it was. It was like maybe a month and a half ago. She's in a real bad place, and you can count on one, two fingers how many really picked that up, because she's such a fireball. She's always praying for somebody. She's always seeking God for everybody else. She's always the one that's seeking healing for other people. And who who what's the thing we call the wounded healer? The wounded healer. Why couldn't anybody pick up that after she's given all that out, she needed that too? And nobody felt that, because they're just so used to her being there, doing it, riding. And so it's a real thing. Like Reggie said, too often we expect our loved ones to just be all right. And we just not. We did a segment not too long ago, I want to say about a month and a half ago, where we asked, are you okay? Because there's a difference in being okay and being all right. I'm not okay, but I will be all right. And that's where I left off for myself. When somebody asked, no, I'm not okay, but I will be all right. I don't like what's happening. I don't like where I am. I don't appreciate what just took place. But for most of y'all say I'm good. Well, I'm good doesn't always mean I'm good. It means I'd rather not right now. It's best I don't right now. And then people who don't realize leaving it alone is probably in their best interest, they just keep prying. But I think that I can also use my other son, Sister Pastor Wyatt will, he will pray. He will pray. He won't say much, but he'll pray and he'll seek God. And God gives him a very accurate word. Why? Because he wants to know. It's a big difference in when you're asking because you feel you have to, and when you're asking because you really want to know. And sometimes it's good if you could just, you good? It's good if you can just sorry guys. Sometimes it's good to well, I ain't even gonna say sometimes. Learn how to love without condition. Because if you learn how to love without condition, some things you'll just pick up. And my bestie would correct me if I was wrong. Sometimes love will allow you to pick up what nothing else will. It doesn't always have to be your friend. God might have you pick up somebody that you hardly ever talk to. And then you call them and you hear the gratitude in their voices about the fact that you took time. But those of us who are around each other all the time, baby boy and my bestie and I, and Assistant Pastor Wyatt, Assistant Pastor King, like those of us who are always around one another, we could really be guilty of just being so common that we didn't take time to say, look a little deeper and say, I wonder if they really okay. It's a real thing. It happens. Not always intentionally, but because you're just so used to them and you know they got the bounce back that you be like, oh, you know what? Let me go see about such and such because I know that person gonna be all right. But sometimes they just want you to acknowledge that there's something going on. They ain't asking you for nothing else. They ain't telling you to help solve it. They just want you to acknowledge that even though I'm moving, even though I'm working, even though I'm in position, I got some stuff going on and I need you to figure it out with me. It's a real place. Oh, my son said he guilty that y'all can't see it because he on the other page. He said he guilty of that. I'm telling you, that's a thank you, baby boy. That's a real good statement. And I'm gonna leave it up there for a few more minutes. Too often we expect our loved ones just to be all right. I can say, like, when my mom passed, I was just flowing. I was just moving. Nobody was saying, you good? Well, my bestie. When I very seldom am I referring to my bestie. So, okay. So because I was flowing, because I was moving, because I was getting things done, because I was showing, because I was making sure everybody else was good, because I was making sure things were in place, because I had to stand and be strong when it came to viewing, and I had to be the strength for others as they viewed. Nobody really said, are you okay? Because strength had to be on deck. I had no choice. And it just seemed like when the people finally did ask if it was all right, I was like, well, it's kind of hard to answer because the apostle had to be on deck for the whole time. So her daughter never got a chance to mourn her until Mother's Day of this year. She passed in March 10th, 3:30 in the morning. And it wasn't until May 9th that I had a true break. And my bestie and the family was right here. At first, it was a little rough. Everybody was just, they didn't realize I said Happy Mother's Day each time one of them said it. It was just like my mother, my mother, my mother, my mother. And so what I'm saying to you is what Reginald Atkins, as you see on the screen, is saying can be very true. They just so used to you being all right that they never ask you if everything is okay. I know we started out talking about one thing, but it's the same thing. All of us have sinned and come short of the glory of God. All of us have sinned and come short of the glory of God. If you feel like you're exempt from that, I'm afraid of you. That's number one. But the main point of me saying that is because people will make you feel like your past is so much worse than theirs. They focus so much on what you've done wrong. And I want you to understand that most times when people do that, it's to deflect the attention off of them, like what they doing wrong, because they still in it. Most times when people focus on your stuff, it's because they're trying to hide theirs. They don't want people to look and see too hard. They know if people look long enough, they're going to start seeing stuff. So what they need to do is to divert everybody's attention and always have it on you or on something that somebody else did. And they never, when it comes to them, it's a private book. I'm private. I don't share mine. And I know some of you have experienced that. And I would say that even to my bestie, when people would say, I'm like, you ain't got time for that, because what's really happening is they don't want people to look at them. And when you can adopt that attitude, it's not easy. So let me just say it. But if you can adopt that attitude effectively, I'm telling you, you'll shock a lot of people. They know your buttons. People study you. I tell people that all the time. And I also say, what you love, you observe. What you love, you observe. And you should never get involved in a particular relationship so much so that the person knows all your buttons, knows all your shortcomings, and you don't know them. I'm not saying you don't know them. I'm saying they know you better than you know yourself. That's why they keep getting to you. How we get here? But we here. What I want you to do before I get off this live is, if you have not done what we've spoken months before today and gotten to know yourself, do that. Do that. Write it in a book, journal it, but introduce yourself to yourself. You probably don't even know what you really like or want, because you've been doing what somebody else wanted and like for so long till you thought it was what you wanted. That was what I got to be guilty of. Doing what everyone else wanted to do and say so long that I really did believe. And then as I started to do what I'm asking you to do now, as I started to learn myself, as I got to a period in my life where those who said they were going to be here were no longer here. And when I got to that point where I accepted the fact that there were people saying they loved me, but they were killing me softly, when I finally got to the place where I found out that as long as I had God, I was good, I didn't even know what to do with myself, because I had just met her this late in life. And I'm saying that you need to do the same thing, because you'll find out that when you do that, you won't be as lonely as you think, because you'll be satisfied with yourself, and therefore you can entertain yourself legally. You can entertain yourself. You can read, you can write, you can find a hobby, do puzzles. I used to put puzzles together, shellac them, and then give them away as gifts. Diamond painting. There are things that you can do that things that we can do and learn how to be in good company with ourselves, so we don't have to feel crazy when nobody's with us or nobody invites us. Because that was me. I just wanted to be invited. I just wanted to be included. But now it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And when I get to be that way, I voice it to my bestie, because that way I'm still addressing it. Even if I don't do anything else about it, I'll tell her, this is how I'm feeling right now. And she doesn't always try to give me an answer, and I appreciate her for that, because most of us talk too much. Sometimes we just want you to listen. Sometimes we just need to know that somebody hears us. We don't necessarily want you to say anything back. We really just want you to listen and let us vent so that we can heal. You should ask that question sometime. Because sometimes when my bestie come to me, I ask her, wait, am I supposed to be responding or am I supposed to be listening? And I think that you could save a lot of relationships if you did that. Because sometimes people just don't come back to you because they're tired of hearing you. They want to, and when I say tired of hearing you, meaning you always have what's best for them, but then they watching you not get out of your own stuff. So sometimes I just need you to listen and let me get it all out. I'm getting ready to say goodnight. I really don't want to. It's going on 11 o'clock and I'm not going to be here on 12. I did want to make sure that we had some type of conversation on tonight. Though it was late, we did have conversation, and I appreciate all of you who thank you. I appreciate all of you who come on, and baby boy, thank you for participating tonight and interjecting some thoughts to Pastor Barnes and to I said Kendra, Elder Rivera, Melissa, and all of you who came on tonight, nephew, Tanasia, Sissy, if she's still here. Thank you so much for coming on. But I want you guys to think about what we've been talking about for the past 2 weeks. The main thing about last week and what we started with tonight is be comfortable with telling somebody to get up out your past. They might not be ready for it, but tell them to get up out your past. And then moving forward, I want you to learn how to get comfortable with yourself to the point where you don't feel like you have to apologize for learning how to have self-love. I want you to learn how to love yourself unapologetically, but I want you to love the right person, which means is the ugly, stinking, fussing, agitating you. Okay? That person who wakes up in the morning and sometimes just ain't feeling like being bothered with nobody. That person. Go back and deal with those hurts that you're still carrying around. The violations, the molestations, the abusive relationships. Go back and revisit them. And if it's too much for you and you're not comfortable enough to take it to your leader, go see a therapist. I advocate that. It works. Talking to a stranger. It works. Now that you found the right page. A therapist is good, and I'm not telling you something that I don't do. It's keeping me alive. It's keeping me alive. And why do I say that? It's not that my bestie is not here. It's not that those that are around me are not here. It's just that sometimes you want to relieve them of that. You want to relieve them of that. I feel like even though they tell me I don't, that I burden them down. So talking to my therapist gives me an opportunity to say exactly what I feel without condemnation. And it's helping me to heal. It really is. Places that I thought were already closed, I found I hadn't properly dealt with them. And that's why I can say it to you and say it with confidence that you can get past it. But you have to allow yourself to move beyond where people are trying to hold you. Folks want to hold you stuck because they know that you're going to supersede them. They already see your greatness. That's the sad part, that you would think that they would be happy for you. But because they see your greatness, they try to keep you stuck in your past. Move away from the gravesite. That's what I'm going to tell you to do. That open grave, that open plot. That when you're driving and you're getting ready to go bury a loved one, and as you're riding around, you see all those open plots with the dirt just waiting to be thrown on top of them. Move away. Step away. Not your time yet. Don't drop your cross. I don't care how hard it gets. Please don't drop your cross. Reach out to somebody. Somebody you can trust. Somebody you can depend on. But don't die before you have to. So I'm going to say goodnight so I can take care of myself and so we can be ready for next week. Again, we have Pastor Ashley Gill, who will be with us on next week, and we're going to be talking about some of everything. Again, we appreciate you. Those of you who come on and you share the lives, thank you. Thank you for thinking enough of us to do that. So we appreciate you. Remember that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, that God knows the plans that he has concerning you. Let somebody know that you are visible and you are tangible. Learn how to love yourself unapologetically. All right? Until next week, we'll see you again. Love you much.